how safe are chemical dispersants used to break up the oil spill in the Gulf? New concerns arise. For the first time since last month's coal mine disaster, Massey Energy's CEO is on Capitol Hill talking about it. And President Obama is set to ask Congress for billions more dollars for nuclear and renewables loan guarantees.
From the Energy News Center in Washington, D.C., this is the Energy Report with Susan McGinnis.
Good afternoon, I'm Susan McGinnis. Thanks for joining us for the Energy Report. The EPA has ordered BP to use less toxic forms of chemical dispersants to break up the oil spill in the Gulf. Federal officials are concerned about the threat to marine life. BP has been using two forms of corexic dispersants and so far has sprayed 600,000 gallons on the surface and 55,000 underwater. Safety data show one of the chemicals is identified as a moderate human health hazard, can cause eye, skin, or respiratory irritation with prolonged exposure. Meanwhile, BP says the undersea leak will now be broadcast live in response to demands from scientists and members of Congress. The decision came hours after a hearing in Congress where BP was accused of withholding data from the ocean floor and blocking efforts by independent scientists to come up with estimates for the amount of crude being leaked into the Gulf each day. Well, we now know some of the oil has made its way into the so-called loop current, a stream of water that's moving around the Gulf, bending around Florida and up the Atlantic coast. This has many worried about damage to those coastal areas. Well, we talked with Professor Ed Overton at the School of the Coast and Environment at Louisiana State University, who said the oil from the Gulf spill could reach a very, very significant stretch of the earth, but as it disperses and when it enters loop currents like these, they actually become less dangerous.
Oil that goes into the environment undergoes these weathering processes, mostly microbial degradation, and so eventually the bacteria will convert the oil back to carbon dioxide. So it takes a long time, but that certainly will happen, particularly when oil gets in the loop current and it's dispersed. Concentrated oil in the environment causes lots of problems. Oil that is diluted, that's spread out by the currents, causes a lot less problems because it quickly gets into this benign form. Sheens weather away, and you're left with these little tar balls, which are more of a nuisance than they are an ecological problem.
But Overton adds, though, that unfortunately the oil from this spill is close to the Louisiana coastlands, so some of the oil, he says, before it gets weathered, as he described, and changed into this benign form, is impacting coastal areas of the northern Gulf, not just LA, he says, but across Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. Senators are hearing testimony today about another deadly accident that happened last month, the coal mine disaster in West Virginia. Among those appearing before the Senate Appropriations Committee, Massey Energy CEO Don Blankenship. This is his first appearance before lawmakers since the Upper Big Branch mine disaster on April the 5th. The Subcommittee on Labor is investigating the factors at work behind the accident and how they relate to overall mine safety. In his opening statement, Blankenship defended his company's safety practices.
I've reduced the accident at Massey by 90% during my tenure as chairman. At Upper Big Branch, we didn't sit idly by, and once we recognized how many violations we were having, we formed a hazard elimination committee and reduced citations at Upper Big Branch by nearly 80%. We've worked very hard with MSHA and very hard in our own company to find ways to make miners safer.
Also testifying before the subcommittee today, the director of the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health and the international president of the United Mine Workers of America. Well, following a major mine blast in Turkey, rescuers have now found the bodies of 28 miners, with 2 still missing. A methane gas explosion this week buried these miners more than 1,700 feet underground. Turkey's energy minister says the miners appear to have died of carbon monoxide poisoning. This is the 3rd mine accident in that country over the past 6 months. President Abdullah Gül has ordered government inspectors to launch a thorough overview of all the mines to more effectively combat poor safety conditions. President Obama is about to ask Congress for $18 billion in new energy loan guarantee authority. This is according to a Democratic aide, with $9 billion for nuclear projects and $9 billion for renewables. The president has asked Congress for more loan guarantee authority in his DOE budget request, $54.5 billion just for nuclear. But this request would be added to a catch-all bill covering a variety of programs, including some in Afghanistan and in Haiti. That bill could be moved quickly by congressional leaders in the coming month. The aide said House Speaker Nancy Pelosi insisted that nuclear and renewable authority levels be matched. The only loan guarantee awarded so far covers just 2 reactors and totals $8.3 billion. The president is expected to announce tomorrow new standards for fuel efficiency and emissions for cars and trucks. A White House official says Obama is having EPA and the Transportation Department develop new vehicle standards to kick in after 2016. In April, the administration rolled out rules for 2012 through 2016 model year vehicles aimed at reaching a 35.5 mile per gallon average. That's up nearly 10 miles per gallon from now. Wind turbines could coexist with military activities off Virginia's coast, depending on their locations. This is coming from a Defense Department assessment looking at prime wind real estate 12 to 25 miles offshore, identifying 18 tracks as compatible with military needs. The other tracks were ruled out because they do conflict with Navy testing of drones and by helicopters that sweep the ocean surface with mine-detecting sleds. Wind power advocates have said they will honor the military's concerns and not build where there are potential conflicts. The wind industry fared better than oil and gas proponents who were told by the Pentagon exploration 50 miles off to Virginia's coast would interfere significantly with submarines and live munitions practices. A new ethanol plant is being credited for a surge in the number of barley acres planted by Virginia farmers. Federal statistics show barley acres jumped from 67,000 in 2009 to 105,000 this year. David Coleman with the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation says Osage Bioenergy's plant in Hopewell has created a market for barley. In the past, most of Virginia's barley was used for livestock feed. The Appomattox Bioenergy plant will convert barley into ethanol that'll be distributed in local markets and used as a blend in gasoline. That plant's expected to start operating this summer. Here's a look at energy goings-on around the Beltway tomorrow. 9 a.m. DOE holds an open meeting of the National Coal Council at the Fairmont Hotel. 9:30, Geothermal Energy Association and Pratt & Whitney Power Systems have a press conference. That's at the Ronald Reagan Building, talking about a new report on geothermal. At noon, EPA sponsors a seminar, Breathe Cleaner, Live Longer, Understanding Air Pollution After 40 Years. That's co-sponsored by the American Heart Association and the House Committee on Science and Technology, and it's in Rayburn. That's the Energy Report. We'll see you tomorrow with your latest energy news. For any suggestions or comments about our programming here on Clean Skies News, we'd like to hear from you. You can email us at contact@cleanskies.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. From all of us here in the Energy News Center, have a great day.